Are you in a time of stuckness and overwhelm? I think a lot of us are right now. We're just, the littlest thing feels enormous and it's hard to get started, much less finish anything. I think a lot of us are feeling the same way, and it's just reminded me of something that we used to have at a gym where I used to teach gymnastics. There was a binder, a really thick binder, and it was called What to Do When There's Nothing to Do. So when we would have some downtime between classes, we would look at this binder and it would give us different things that we could do in the gym to keep ourselves busy and to actually work while we were still on the clock. Of course, that's the efficient way to use our time. And some of these things were very simple things like just wiping down the bathroom. Some of them were more complicated, like cleaning out closets and things like that for when we had a little bit of more time on our hands. I loved that book. It's so strange because I haven't taught gymnastics in more than 20 years now. And yet the name of that book is still in my mind because it gave me a tool. It gave me an ability to look for the little things that I could do in my day to use my time well and to move forward. So I think sometimes we get stuck and we get overwhelmed when our goal feels too big, right? So if the book had said, clean the entire gym, that's huge. But what this did was to break it down into little steps that we could do, little manageable pieces. I love that because it also took out the opportunity for decision fatigue. So we didn't have to constantly be making those decisions as to what we should be doing with our time. It was all laid out for us. And there's a mental load to having to make those decisions, and it can be exhausting. I think that's where a lot of us are now also. And so having a tool like that is wonderful. There's also the aspect of when we're stuck and we're overwhelmed of the shoulds, right? So when we say should, we're really feeling shame. So we should be farther along. We should by now have finished our musical instrument lessons or learned that foreign language or made all the sourdough bread, which seems to have been a thing during the pandemic. We should just makes us feel shame for where we're stuck. So when we're stuck, it becomes really hard to reach our goals, right? We all have them. Maybe we want to start a business. That's a huge goal, and we're stuck in the process. Maybe we just need to do something simple like pay our bills, and we're still stuck. Maybe it's a matter of doing a load of dishes or helping the kids get new school clothes. It can be anything, big or small, and yet we're stuck. An interesting example that came to me recently was Jesus and the man at the well. It's in John chapter 5, and the story tells us in the Bible that a man has been laying by this pool, this healing pool, for 38 years. And he wants to be well. That's why he's there. And Jesus asks him if he wants to be well. And he says yes. Jesus has a big plan for this guy. Jesus is helping this guy's story become a piece of our bigger kingdom story by healing on the Sabbath and by making sure that the leaders know that Jesus is healing on the Sabbath. I'm going to read you the last sentence in that section. It's John chapter 5, verse 15. The man went away and told the Jewish leaders that it was Jesus who had made him well. If Jesus came up to this guy and said, you are going to be the impetus for these leaders pursuing me about healing on the Sabbath and revisioning the way that we live life, do you think this man would have been all in? Do you think that enormous end goal would have scared him, intimidated him? Might he have hesitated? Would he have known where to begin? We're going to look back a little bit further, because Jesus came to this man where he was, lying on the ground by the pool. And so Jesus sees him lying there, learned he had been in this condition for a long time, and asked him, "Do you want to get well?" The man told Jesus that he had no one to get him into the pool, but yes, he wants to get well. And Jesus tells him three things. Jesus says, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." Jesus doesn't say, "Transform the kingdom of God," which ultimately is what happened through the persecution of Jesus and the crucifixion. Jesus says, "Get up." That's the first step. Pick up your mat. Walk. For some people, that is really hard. For this man who had been laying there for 38 years, that is huge. To us, maybe it seems like a baby step, but that's okay. That's where we're supposed to start, is with baby steps. I do something called armadillo mode. I actually named it. And it's when I kind of need to pull away for a minute and I need to reassess. And maybe something's overwhelming me and it's just, I'm in a space where I need a rest, a Sabbath. And that's healing and refreshing and helpful. It can easily, though, turn into an extended blah, for lack of a better word, where I'm not getting anything done and I'm not moving forward and I'm past the point where I have refreshed, and yet there's more to do. I need to move forward. Sometimes in my mind, my end goal gets huge. Like, oh my gosh, I have all of these things, or this is my giant end goal. And it's enormous. Other times, I have to send one email and it's still too big. And so using this as an example, get up, turn on your computer, sit down, right? Or if you're starting a business, oh, I need to have this giant client base. No, one, just get one first. It's taking those baby steps to move us forward toward whatever goal we want to reach. That is what's going to help move us forward. And this example of Jesus helping this man, healing this man to ultimately serve a kingdom purpose, but by giving him those tiny little baby steps to do so, is such a tremendous example. I'm so glad in this season of overwhelm that this came up in my reading recently. It's not something I've ever really thought of from this perspective. So it's an interesting concept to try to see how small we can break down a goal. What's just the tiniest next step we can do to move forward toward our goal? So let's try to break something down into 3 steps. What's a goal? Whether it's small, like cooking dinner. Maybe you just pull the ingredients out of the fridge, take out a cutting board, take out a knife, right? It could be anything. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed. And it's okay to take a break. And then it's okay to be proud of taking a tiny, tiny step forward. So my prayer for you today is that you get up, pick up your mat, and walk.